Eonar is arguably one of, if not the most difficult boss in Antorus to give advice for, with it being such an unusual fight, and its failure rate generally being far less tied to an individual player or their mistakes. But there is definitely still a little bit of room to optimize your play, which I'm going to cover here briefly. First and foremost is your tier 30 talents, which are pretty locked in, which I bring up every boss. That is that Windrush will perform the best, although in the video in the background you see me with Feral Lunge, which was a mistake and I do sometimes forget. Windrush is excellent for helping the group relocate during certain sections, but in particular during the Paraxis section to move your group to each crystal quickly when they disperse from the Inquisitor. Lunge still has its uses for moving quickly between targets when they become split on each of the platform sections when you're dealing with the adds, but is otherwise pretty underwhelming and I wouldn't recommend it. Rainfall is dead because of how much the fight area moves around when you're dealing with each pack. Second, defense and movement is incredibly fluid on this boss. Astral Shift is appropriate when healers are overburdened and you are targeted by Paraxis abilities, but this is up to you to really decide when you feel like that is happening. Or, in particular, when you're upstairs on the ship to smooth out casts on the Inquisitor if they do get out, but generally speaking you should have a group that is tight enough to let you do that. Otherwise, fight is not intense and survival. Spirit Walk, on the other hand, is usually used when you need to quickly move over to a jump pad with a quick switch between the different groups, though generally you won't be doing that much because Enhancement is really ideal in the bottom to mid areas, which means you generally don't have to jump around between a lot of different separated areas. Third, your DPS optimization on this boss is really a lot of different things, but none of them are really that important because DPS is not what kills the boss. Keeping Crash up during cleave, generally the best idea. You want to try and splash off a large target, but given that many of the large adds move away from the others or stop them from being stacked, prevent it, that's not that important even though it should be. Fury of Air is excellent to keep things mildly slowed while others can slow them further and really keep them under check, and spending time in Ghost Wolf to generate some extra Maelstrom for each wave before it spawns is extremely valuable too, so you don't have to worry about generating at all. Your legendary options are basically your usual, except that Emelan's Charged Core is great, and it will almost always have 3 targets to trigger from whenever there's a serious pack that you need to deal with, which is great because that means that you're front-loading your damage into the periods where you need it. Even better though is Cephas, and that is what I would recommend using at all times alongside Smoldering Heart. You can Earth Grab preemptively to catch each wave and trigger it, and it'll even provide a boost on the Paraxis when you interrupt the Inquisitor, which makes it the best all-around legendary that you can make use of. When it comes to tier, you can use your tier 20 bonus, which is great for AoE burst, but a lot of the times the 4-piece will roll off before the new ad wave spawns, which means you can't capitalize on the burst, which kind of kills the effectiveness. That means that I'd really generally stick to the new tier with tier 21, because that's going to allow you to focus down single targets, which are the make or break on killing the boss. And with that, the lower half of Antorus is done with Eonar, and we step into the more mechanically oriented bosses next with Eonar.
Carry the world upon your shoulders, for I'm not the only one. How could you look behind now when everything is done? Oh, you carry the world upon your shoulders. For I'm not the only one.
These roads intersect, on each one I reflect. These lines write my story, these places change me.